Hi. When I say open access, I really mean open data. Just to put that out there. Okay, so I, 3 months ago, moved to a new job at Bishop Grosseteste University. Hands up if you've heard of Bishop Grosseteste University. Oh, we're smattering people, hooray! We're really, really small. To give those of you who haven't heard of us an idea, we have less than 3,000 students. We have less than 100 members of academic staff, which in some ways is great because it means you can talk to researchers. Like you can pretty much go and talk to all the researchers, which is lovely. But it also means that we don't have very many policies in place, and people can kind of do what they like a little bit. The other issue is we've only been a university for 6 years. Before that, we were a teacher training college for 100 years. So there's still a huge teacher training college ethos at the university, really. If you talk to most people who at another university would be thought of as researchers, they don't really think of themselves as researchers. They think of themselves as teachers or lecturers who happen to be doing a bit of research on the side. When I worked at other places, big research-intensive universities, this was true. I think it's hard enough getting people who think of themselves as researchers and who think of their research as being their kind of primary thing to get them to engage in research data management, to invest the time in that, to think about why they might want to make their research open. That's hard enough. When those same people actually research is so far down their list of priorities. I mean, don't get me wrong, the university is all like, oh yes, we're going to do better in the ref this year, but if you talk to individual researchers, they're like, I don't have time for this. So it makes it even harder. So research services at our university is me, and I'm trying to do something about this. As I say, I've only been there 3 months, so a lot of this is problems rather than solutions. These are the things that people say to me when I start trying to talk to them about research data management. I think these are the sort of things that people say to lots of people, particularly in humanities, social sciences, to some extent arts, which is what we primarily do. So those first two, my research doesn't have data. We've definitely had that mentioned already today. The other one is no one is interested in my data. I think when research isn't your really big thing, it can feel a little bit like, oh, I'm just pottering around with some things I'm interested in. Everyone else isn't interested in this. And so that can make it quite hard to really push the idea of sharing your data because they're saying, well, no one else wants it. It's not worth my time to do it. One of my solutions to that is I'm sort of trying to build a bit of a selection, certainly from my point of view, of really, really good examples of sharing sources or data, or a lot of these are sort of translations or things that have extra commentaries on sources, to give people in humanities and arts a better idea actually what they could be doing. Sure, lots of these took a huge amount of time. They're probably not going to do that. But when people say, oh, I don't have data, or oh, no one's interested in my data, if you show them these, they go, oh, actually, that's really cool. That's a really cool project. So that's something that I do want to try and kind of talk to people about. If anyone has really cool humanities or arts projects, do tell me. I'd like to share those too. And the other one, which is a really big deal at my university. Those first two, I think, happen anywhere where you've got arts and humanities. These ones are quite specific to the fact that everyone really, really prioritises teaching where we are. So, I've got too much teaching to worry about my research. I can't put that extra time into my research. Or if data management's going to take some time, I can't do that. And the other thing that we get a lot is I need to prioritise the students, and this comes top down as well. So although the management is really keen on us doing better at the ref, it's very hard to get money for anything that doesn't prioritise the students. That's a really big problem. And so one of the things that I'm going to try and do over the next kind of 6 months is try and come up with some ways to make research data management and sharing of data particularly really integral to teaching practices, and to see whether actually by using people's data we can encourage research data management by doing it in teaching. So these are kind of some of the initial thoughts that I have, some of the things that we're going to try talking to researchers about. As I said, we've got less than 100 people. I can actually just go and talk to everyone and see what people think about these things. One of the things that I can do very easily, because I'm in charge of reading lists, is to try and incorporate open access resources into reading lists. And it just encourages people to think, oh yes, actually there are resources out there, and to really get it into their heads about these resources. Often, I think, particularly in our sort of little university, people can be quite insular. They just don't know what's out there, and they don't know what other people are doing. So the other thing is trying to get people to use their research with their undergrads. So, you know, people are doing these little research projects on the side. Well, it'd be really great if we can try and get some of those little research projects to turn into undergraduate research projects or master's research projects. And by doing that, you inherently have to do research data management. In order to share that data with your students, you need to have it in a form that's shareable. Even if it's not sharing outside of the university, it encourages sharing of data within the university. Yeah, so the other thing about that is that it does allow, so the final one about kind of using your undergrads to collect data, which I'm always a little bit wary about, because I used to be in biology and generally get bad data if you get your data from your students. But if you can get good students, then you can code that time as teaching time. Yes, so if anyone's had any good ways of integrating research into teaching, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Beth. It's really nice to hear a different perspective of things, and I'm really jealous of how many people you have to speak to and your ratios. We have one question up here. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, more comment than question, but I've been doing a bit of reading and research myself, and I found one incentive or one thing that was mentioned was good research data management and sharing. Often professors will give students a data set to work with. Mm-hmm. And this is your semester project, use this data set, but they don't know that there are other data sets out there as well. So that not only their data sets can be reused, but they can go out and find. So it makes actually less work for the lecturers. If they know where these data sources are, they don't have to give them back to the students.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, so in social sciences, there are some great data sets out there. And I think, you can do great work with undergrads and saying, okay, well, go and find a data set, and then they'll have to look through them all and find them all. There's some exciting things you can do, I think.
So again, it's more of a comment than a question, but there was just a couple of things. The OpenCon conference happened last weekend, and there were two things that came out of it that I think might help. One, we've started an Open Humanities and Social Sciences group.
Yes, I joined the Twitter this morning.
Brilliant. So I hope I'll just say it. For those who haven't seen it, we're looking to have community calls in the way that OpenCon have general and librarian calls. We're looking to have one specifically for the humanities and social sciences. There was also a particular group who looked at using data as a teaching resource, which I didn't go to, but the notes will be online somewhere, so you might want to look that up as people to link up with.
Yeah, really good. Thank you very much.
Open hum sock sigh. Catchy, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.